before starting, what can I offer to you? Water, coffee?
No, I'm good.
You're fine?
Yeah, I'm
sure?
good. Thank you. Yes.
All right. I was going through your CV
Yes.
and reading your interests and your hobbies. One point picked my attention is you do caving.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've mentioned this in my CV. Yes.
Yeah,
Now
it's
I remember.
interesting. Caving in Lebanon.
Yes, in Lebanon.
This interview, you're applying first for a senior analyst job with fine management, and this interview will take around like 1 hour. The process, we launched it like 2 weeks ago, and we received a good amount of number of CVs. So the first stage is to go through screening the CVs, and we've selected a few, and your CV and your application was one of them. And this interview, we will be looking at your career path, your jobs, but also we will be measuring and evaluating core competencies related to fine management competencies framework. I'll be explaining later on our technical assessment that is related directly to the senior analyst job. Also, I'll be taking notes during this interview for the sake of the report. Any questions before starting?
At this stage, no, nothing.
Great, and if you have questions, please, at the end of the interview, I will give you the opportunity to ask any questions you have.
Of course.
Ryan, I would like you at the beginning to take me through your CV in a very brief way.
Yes, well, I graduated back in 2014. I studied accounting, business. It was a business major, concentration in accounting. Graduated in 2014.
Yeah. You've done your studies. It's a Bachelor of Business Administration.
Correct.
And the major was much more in accounting.
Yes, I concentrated in accounting.
Exactly, and you've applied and you were hired with an external audit firm.
Yes, correct.
Molden Associates. That move from Molden Associates to MDI, there are two changes here. The first change is you're moving from a multinational to a local company, which is MDI, is a local firm. And the second change is the nature of the business, the industry itself, from an audit firm to a management consulting firm.
Yes.
I would like you to explain to me these changes.
Okay, so Molden Associate was like the natural place to be after graduation because I concentrated in accounting. They are a multinational based in Beirut, so it was a really good job to kickstart your career.
This is regarding the change of the industry.
Yes.
What about the change from a multinational with a lot of exposure and global systems to a local company?
Yes, well, it goes without saying, it's always attractive to be in a multinational, in a global firm, in a corporate, but nevertheless,
thank you for that. Going through the CV also is, and this is the picky side of me.
Feel free.
Yeah, I've noticed like 3 months actually, not a huge gap, but I'm curious to know that there is a gap of 3 months between the first job and the second job. How did you spend that time?
Well, it was recreational, honestly speaking. It was a good recreational period in between.
Good for you.
Yeah, it was much needed, honestly speaking, in between my first job and my second job. It was around the summer period, June, July, August of that year where I moved, where I made the move.
So what did you do with that?
I traveled. I spent the month in Paris with my friend. He lives there. I spent the rest here in Lebanon. It was just like resting, relaxing, going to the beach, doing some activities, and I I took this as an opportunity to refresh and restart.
And then you
rejoin,
rejoined
back in September that year.
the workplace,
Yes.
and you joined at that time MDI.
Yes, correct.
All right, clear. With MDI, you've mentioned in your CV that you were part of the ISO team, which
Yes, correct.
it's not clear for me. What was your specific role? I'm fully aware about the ISO certification, but I would like to know more about your specific role within this whole project. So I assume MDI now is ISO certified.
Yes.
Okay.
So as you already know, ISO is a quality certification.
Yeah.
So my role started with first, I referred management, or like I advised management.
You've worked with teams in both jobs. Did you have the chance to work with teams like at Molden Associates? You were part of a team also?
Yes, of course.
And at MDI also? What's the size of the team that you worked with?
Small teams in both companies. First, let's say around 80 or 85% of my time was involved working with teams. At both companies.
At both companies,
yes. We had relatively small. We had smaller teams in MDI.
Okay.
Even in Molden Associates, they had like bigger teams, but not more than 6-7 members in each team.
And when we talk about teams here, it's like the same people, or the teams they change, the team members change?
The frequency of change was less in MDI. It was more frequent in Molden Associates, and this is due to the size of the company.
Yes, and the nature of the business.
Actually.
Yeah, I agree. I would like you to give me an example talking about teams. If you tell me about a time, a situation, an example that you were working with a team and you had to manage or handle a crisis as a team. Did it happen to you?
Yes. I'm trying to think of an example. Yes, I have a clearly structured example in my mind.
In which company?
In MDI.
MDI.
When I first joined. Yes. So when I first joined the company.
So 2 years ago, you mean?
Yes, 2 years ago.
Example.
So it was back when I first joined MDI.
Yeah.
I was part of a team working on an assessment center. It was a leadership assessment center for a client outside of Lebanon. We knew from the very beginning that this project had many challenges.
What was the crisis here?
Okay, so the planning phase was smooth because it was hectic, but it was smooth. Everything was running smoothly. The challenges, the crisis as you call it, started basically in the execution phase when we were suddenly and unexpectedly challenged with the timeline. So the client challenged us with the delivery of the reports. So we had, let's put it that way, we had to deliver in much lesser time, given that our resources were limited.
Who held that team?
Yes. So
I'm much more interested about the team, of course, but what did you do yourself within that team?
Yes.
So if we can please just focus in the example on yourself.
Yes. So we held the managing partner, a managing director, excuse me, the project manager, and our team. We held the meeting and we brainstormed ideas.
I know that because you're talking about the team, it's much more the we. But if you can tell me the I, like what did you do exactly, and what was your part in this crisis in the team?
So on a personal level, first I tried as much as possible to create a positive environment.
Okay.
Because I knew the team might be frustrated at some stages, so I have to create this positive environment.
By doing what?
Sometimes it's as simple as going for a break, for a cigarette break. Sometimes it could be listening to music. Sometimes it's like, okay, let's wrap it for the day and go out, have a dinner or something. Next thing was, they were all simultaneous, of course. Next thing was helping out whenever needed, even if the task is not mine. So when I knew, for example, my teammate is like under pressure, I used to intervene, take part of his tasks and do them by myself, and help him out in the process. I also encouraged them in my own personal way to give the extra effort, because we knew for a fact that we would be working for extra hours, we were working in the weekend. So this went along with the positivity, with the positive environment. I always encourage them, and okay, we are tired, but let's try to take it a step further, let's try to work more. An additional hour could make a large difference.
Okay.
Not gonna lie to you, it was really hectic. It was not a pleasant experience. Nevertheless, we were able to deliver. We were able to deliver based on the new timeline. And what's most important is that the client did not know, was not involved in this whole process. They just knew, we challenged the timeline, we received in due course.
So from the client perspective, they didn't see all these internal stuff that the crisis management that they were happening. Building on what you've said, tell me about a time that you had really a challenge in a relationship with a different department. It doesn't matter if it's at Molden Associates or with MDI, it doesn't matter.
Well, it's kind of difficult to come up with one
challenge or a difficulty in dealing between departments.
And
did you ever encounter?
Due to the nature, I'm gonna say, due to the nature of work in both firms, we don't have like interdepartmental work. Minimal interactions. We have like, because 80, as I said, 80 or 85% of the time you're working in a team, and it's the team within your department, let's call it.
So it didn't happen?
No, I cannot recall any. I cannot recall any issue on.
All right. Tell me about, I don't know, an example, if it happened, of course, that you had a conflict with a team member within your department and your section. Did you ever encounter such situation?
I can recall one example. Hopefully it's going to be helpful for your interview. But it was like very early in it was like at the kickoff of my career back.
So with Molden Associates?
Yeah, with Molden Associates. Okay. I just recently joined. I had the induction and I was assigned on my first job. And as you know, in such industries, it's always hectic. It's always like the senior basically is always under pressure to deliver. So I was this new young associate, enthusiastic, happy, looking forward to learn. So and it was just me and the senior. So we had like, and he was like 4 years older than me. Let's put it that way. Honestly speaking, I used to ask a lot of questions. I used to ask a lot of questions. I used to question everything. I used to ask always about feedback. I felt it at some point that he was not like able to like manage his job all the time because of my interventions. But I was, no, it's fine. I'm an associate. I'm here to learn. Unfortunately, I learned from a friend of mine back in the company that.
So what was the conflict exactly?
The conflict was that the senior was complaining to the HR department of my behavior. So he was basically saying, no, I cannot like work with this person. I should have someone on the job who's able to assist me, not like to be an obstacle to my job. I'm not.
And this is due because you were asking questions.
Yes, I assumed
interrupting.
Yes, I assumed this.
Okay.
And
so this was a conflict.
Yes, basically.
And what happened? What did you do?
Well, actually, I was not happy about that, but nevertheless, I was like, I should like come up with solutions. So first of all, I consulted with my friend who's at my level, but who has been there for an additional couple of months. So I asked him, how would you handle this? Have you ever been in such a situation? He gave me a couple of advices.
Okay.
I also consulted with a senior, who's my friend, also in the company. I discussed the issue with him and he gave me a couple of solutions. Honestly speaking, I wanted to sit with my personal senior because this is how I like to approach things. But I started with these couple of
actions.
Yes, or solutions that were provided by my friend, the other senior. I tried my best not to ask many questions, to inquire myself before asking any questions.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
You said that you wanted to sit.
Yes.
Do I assume that you did not sit with the person?
I was hesitant at first, but eventually I did.
What happened there?
I sat with him and I told him that I feel that you are frustrated with my approach. I did not tell him I learned from HR or from the company. He said yes, and no, he apologized for that, and he said, and you have to understand that we are under a lot of pressure. So I told him, let's work this out together. First, we are a team, and second, and we have to get this job done.
Ryan, with MMDI, you mentioned one of your responsibilities is today to design a training material from scratch. I would like here to understand technically, how do you do from the moment the commercial proposal is being validated and signed, how do you come up technically by steps, to take me through the steps, to come up as an instructional designer with these material?
I can use this too.
Of course, it's for that actually.
Yes, so after the approval
Wi-Fi management.
Wi-Fi management has its name in the market.
Okay, it's good
Yes.
to hear that.
Plus, I had a couple of referrals from friends of mine.
Working with us?
Working,
you know people here?
Yeah, working
All right.
with you and
Interesting.
working who have worked with you as a client. So I've known people who worked with you. I know people who
all
have
right.
worked with you as clients. I know people working with you in the company currently, and I did a small research on the industry itself.
The management.
I know it's similar to MDI,
Yeah.
but in a few technical aspects there are some differences. So I did my research and I found myself, and of course I have read the job description, and I found that I could be in such a company, in such a job, or in such an environment.
Can you be more specific? First of all, thank you very much.
Yes, sure.
For your interest and for saying that about fine management. But can you be more specific about, you said, I found myself, or this is an interest for you. What is it about?
Okay, so in MDI, I used to work on, as I said, learning and development.
If I want to ask about the senior analyst position that you are applying for, you've seen online the job description and the roles and responsibilities we've shared with you. What do you like the most in these 9 tasks that we sent?
Basically what I like the most is the client interface, because I used to have in my previous job a lot of client interface. I used to have it less in MDI, especially that our projects were held remotely. What I'm interested here in is the client interface, and specifically the client interface at the leadership level. Because I've worked with managers, with directors, with head of sections in my previous jobs. But here you get the full, as I said, more strategic view while dealing with
It's on a bigger scale.
Yes, on a bigger scale, much bigger scale.
All right,
Yes.
okay. And what do you dislike the most?
Honestly speaking, it goes without saying. I'm not gonna hide it. The working hours. It's a hectic lifestyle.
Okay.
But what I believe in, it's a must at this stage of my career or my life.
With MDI, how many hours do you do?
I used to work, let's say around 10 to 12 hours per day, which is hectic
Okay.
enough. But here I know for a fact it's gonna be much more.
Do we have this reputation in the market that we abuse people in their...
The industry has this reputation, not of
Yeah.
abuse, but
Yeah,
of having hectic working hours.
I agree.
But we're
It's,
sitting here, I'm sitting here willingly, honestly speaking, to applying for this job.
Yeah,
So
the
I'm
good
okay.
thing is like Saturday, Sunday, we try
Yes.
as much as we can
Yes.
not to work.
Yes.
But as you know, you've worked with consulting
Yeah.
firms before, and you're working today, and you know that sometimes flexibility is really
Is
a
a
must here, of
As a
course.
must, yes.
All right. So we're at the end of our interview. Just very quickly, I know that you've done your research about fine management.
Yes, of course.
I would like to emphasize that we are a consulting firm. We do deliver training programs and development programs, but this is part of our leadership development.
Yes.
And I'm sure you've seen that on our website. We're very much specialized in assessment, talent assessment, and a lot of assessment tools and instruments. We are a regional company, even though we are based now in Beirut, but our clients are everywhere in the Middle East, and some of them, few of them actually, are in Europe. Any questions you have about the vacancy, about the job, about fine management?
I just wanted to know how did you think the interview went? How
This
was
interview,
it?
you mean?
Yes, this interview.
Yeah. Unfortunately, at this stage, we don't give any feedback.
Oh, okay.
You're still at the early stage of the interview, and I take this opportunity to explain the next steps. This is the first stage, as I mentioned. Already, you will go through the case study next week,
Yes, correct.
as we discussed together. You will come here to our offices, and you will have like 1 hour and a half for like around 18 pages. It's a case study, and 3 questions to answer. Anyway, the human resources will send you all the details about this assessment, so no surprises, hopefully.
Okay.
After that, like after 10 to 15 days, you should hear from our HR department about the following
Regardless
steps.
if it's negative or positive?
We make sure that regardless the results, you will hear from us over the phone and followed by an email from us.
Okay.
All right,
That's
great.
it. Yes.
Brian, I would like to thank you.
Thank you, Micheline, for your time.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for your interest in this vacancy.
Yes, of course.
I wish you all the best in this process.
Thank you.
If you have additional questions, even though you have my contacts here,
Yes.
but maybe the HR department will have more details about the next steps.
Of course. Of
All
course.
right?
Thank you.
So wishing you all the best and have a lovely day.